Those who stay cross over the line.
We're back on the air. Apparently there was a glitch. We think there was a technical glitch. I kind of doubt it. So if you want to know if there's media bias tonight, you don't have to look any further than this show. 100 million viewers, and on the eve of the most important debate in history, they take off a man like me. Not so much as an email to my producer before the show. Did my syndicator send a note saying they were preempting me today? So the only reason they preempted me is to prevent me from talking about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, in my estimation. And I'm going to make a statement right now. If they do this to me again tomorrow, and they did it to me, by the way, without any notice, make a note of this because you may not hear me tomorrow or ever again. I want you to understand the kind of duress I'm under. This is sabotage. Do you understand what sabotage is? Those of you who are listening, understand very clearly, if perhaps for the first time, that the fairness doctrine is already in operation on WABC in New York.
It was a year ago that the reclusive Matt Drudge of DrudgeReport.com visited Austin, Texas with an unannounced emergency message for our listeners.
I had a Supreme Court justice tell me to my face, it's over for me. I said, Matt, it's over for you. They've got the votes now to enforce copyright law. You're out of there. They're going to make it so headlines, you can't even use headlines. To have a Supreme Court justice say that to my face, that it's over. They've got the votes, which means time is limited. Time is not forever. How many more moons and sunrises will you see in your life? Rise and fall. There's not that many. It's a small amount. So for people to be saying with this attitude, oh, I'll get on with my life and my greatness sometime. No, you can't.
We're being enslaved now, and that's it. Under the TPP, they admit you can't put a headline to the New York Times. You're sending massive traffic to them. They're claiming you're taking their words. This is insane.
And you had the Justice Stephen Breyer said we need to look at a global law. Now, remember just recently
getting it lined up with it.
So they're getting ready for these decisions to come. You thought Obamacare was shocking. You thought some of these other decisions were shocking. Wait until these copyright laws work their way up and the Supreme Court decides you cannot have a website with news headlines linking across the board.
In just 4 days, the domain registry system and the internet IP address program will be handed over to a multinational consortium headed up by the United Nations and the Communist Chinese. The Communist Chinese are the biggest censors in the world and execute people that peacefully practice Buddhism. And this is who Facebook and Google and Twitter and Apple and others are working with. This is the new consortium that will decide the future rules of the internet. Because whether it's China or areas in Africa, more and more poor people are now getting on the internet in these countries, and those nations are finding it near impossible to completely censor that information. So what they're doing is coming to the United States and Europe and asking those governments to set up systems to censor the information promoting freedom before it gets to those other countries. Because if Obama's going to tell Africans you can't have air conditioning or cars, Americans can't have air conditioning or cars, or at least Africans shouldn't be able to see that.
Ultimately, if you think about all the youth that everybody's mentioned here in Africa, if everybody's raising living standards to the point where everybody's got a car and everybody's got air conditioning and everybody's got a big house, well, the planet will boil over.
Just last week, I had the former technical leader of the NSA on, William Benning, and he said clearly, this is a corporate system establishing world government through the surveillance grid and the takeover of the internet. What's the master strategy on building this technocracy? I mean, do they have one?
I think it's this is my impression, okay? Certainly it is population control, but not just of any given country, but of the world. And so what they're after and I think Obama has stated this from various points, that he wanted a world community. So I think that's probably what they're after. In order to do that, they have to be able to control the people of the world. So in order to do that, you have to have knowledge of them to know who's doing what so you can stop it or manipulate it any way you want.
William Binney, that is the most profound thing I think I've ever heard you say, and you've said a lot of profound things. This is the key for a technocracy world government program, and Davos admits that's their plan, but here you are, the former leader of the National Security Agency, telling us that that's what they're building. I haven't heard you talk about world government being the objective. I mean, it clearly is. Can you elaborate with your geopolitical and geospatial and technical understanding?
Yeah, well, I see that's the problem. That technology has made this all possible. I mean, we could easily follow 12 to 20 billion phone calls a day. If it's like 10 million people moving around every day is trivial. That's a trivial issue. So all of that could be done by technology, and yet they're claiming something is really difficult when in fact it's not.
Obama's czars are now openly calling for the return of the fairness doctrine, where you can't have any political opinion on talk radio. They've been targeting talk radio sponsors. They have been going after my show. And just as Dr. Drew was pulled off the air for saying, hey, Hillary's clearly got medical problems. What she's being prescribed is deadly when you mix the drugs together. I want to help her. He was fired 1 week later.
There are two other things that gravely concerned us. When she hit her head, she had to wear these prism glasses when she came out.
Right.
That is brain damage, and it's affecting her balance. Now, clearly it hasn't affected her cognition, but tell us a little more about that.
And now, Michael Savage, yesterday, was first taken off WABC in New York. When the host began to gloat that it was a coup against him on air, Savage got word and began to basically criticize what was happening and was taken off 400 plus affiliates nationwide by CBS.
Not only have I been sabotaged in the largest market that I have, it's clear sabotage because the two geniuses that they're using to fill in for me, who have ratings that are about 40% lower than mine, are gloating on the air that they've conducted a coup against Savage, right on the air. I spent 30 minutes talking about Hillary's health problems. I read you every fact about it. I then read you the pharmacology of levodopa, which is the main drug for Parkinson's. And right in the middle of that discussion of levodopa and its side effects, I was cut off across the country. Now, I don't know how much longer this is going to hold up right now in the studio in which I'm broadcasting from.
Military style. He's pulled off WABC first. The decision is made where CBS is based in New York. Then he's taken off 30 minutes later from his 400 stations across the country, and he's sitting there in San Francisco with his headphones in his studio, broadcasting to no one for at least 10 minutes before he discovers that he's been taken off the air, and then he was told, you're basically done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about a free press. Regardless of what you think about Michael Savage, love him or hate him, this is an attack on the very fundamental bedrock of this nation. This is 21st century book burning that's taking place. Dr. Savage came on the show twice in the last 2 weeks to talk about the dire straits of this country. And during several breaks last week, while I was talking to him via Skype from my studio, he was telling me that he was concerned that this could be the last book he publishes, and that basically he was being censored by CBS, and that he wanted to air the interview that he and I were having because we just had a powerful segment on his show. And I said, well, air whatever you want. He said, no, I know. But now CBS is telling me I can't air your show. I'm getting really massive heat from up on top. So he said, look, the country's in trouble. They're coming after our free speech. We went back on air, finished the segment. He was gone. I've called him today, haven't been able to get in touch with him, and now he's off the air. I mean, this could happen to us just like that, because this is the season we're in of tyranny. This is the climate in our nation. Michael Savage said it himself. He's very proud to be the test case. They've gone after him first. And if they can get away with this, they can get away with shutting everybody off. We stand together or we hang separate. In closing, I want to ask viewers and listeners this paramount question. What is your line in the sand? The censorship, the control is all suddenly being phased in. They're going from beta to 1.0 right now. And the fight is happening. A year in political time is like the blink of an eye. And in the next year, we're going to see the attempt to shut down free speech and bully the American people and others into submission. Already in Europe, they arrest you if you criticize the open borders and the Islamic invasion. The mayor of London just assigned a police unit to arrest people that criticize Islam even mildly. You add this to all the other things that are happening, it is crisis level. We are facing 21st century warfare. It's being conducted by mega banks, huge corporations, using giant migrant flows and collapsing third world populations that have been abused by this very system to bring down what's left of the West. Because the globalists see prosperity and independence as competition. They see the West and any form of wealth and individuals controlling just a small part of their destiny as a threat. That's why this tyranny is the greatest tyranny humanity's ever faced. And that's why all of us are now Michael Savage. All of us are now Spartacus. Spartacus was the famous Roman slave gladiator who led a revolt and almost toppled the Roman Empire. And it's a true story that they were killing thousands of the revolting slaves saying, "We're Spartacus, we're Spartacus." They would all say, "I'm Spartacus." Well, I don't want to say I'm jealous because it's a very dangerous position he's in, but the fact that they came for Michael Savage first really sets him into a very special category. They're very scared of him. And they've told me they're coming for us next. We're already under a lot of pressure. We need your prayers and support. We're harder to shut down because we self-syndicate. We work on a lot of other internet platforms, but we're in some very dark waters. So we're all Michael Savage now. And if you don't stand with him, and if you don't stand against 21st century book burning, it's going to be your views and your ideas that are banned next. So I hope everybody shares this report with everybody they know, because this isn't just America's fight, this is the world's fight, and we're seeing the fall of our republic right now if these people carrying this out are successful. I'm Alex Jones signing off from the InfoWars News Center, however long it lasts, in Austin, Texas. Just reminding all of you that are out there watching that you really are the hope to turn this around. You are the resistance. The time has come. Begin the shutdown. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say, "See, I told you so," that communist Chinese-style net censorship was coming to the web, because it's already here. It's being announced. The way you keep the internet open and free is you get involved more than ever. You don't let them break your will. Go to Infowars.com/app and download an app that cost us over $200,000 and took us over a year to develop, that we're going to be expanding on the next few months with free video and audio and podcast feeds and breaking news and alerts and so much more. Don't sit by and let the internet and free speech be stolen from you. Take action. We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.